right off the bat, this movie was minimum 5 times better than the Schwarzenegger version. 5 times minimum. Possibly as high as 10 times better.
This might just be nostalgia talking, but I feel like I had a lot more fun watching the Schwarzenegger version.
Really?
Yeah. When I rewatched it last night, I feel like I got way more into it.
You know, I think it is nostalgia talking that I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because of the nostalgia, I had such fond memories of it, loved it so much. At this point, if I watched it, I would watch it ironically. Which for a movie that I have such fond memories of, that hurts. And so it really bothered me a lot when I watched it, and it was just terrible because I remembered it being so good. And so this one, I had a ton of fun at. I can see watching it again, I can see enjoying it. It's just a real rollicking good time. It's very straightforward. To anybody who's familiar with the other movie, there aren't going to be shocking amounts of surprises or anything. They do take it in an original direction, but they stuck with the original story for the most part. But this movie I'm going to be able to sit down and enjoy as what it is, whereas with the Schwarzenegger movie, there's always going to be that bitterness of being so disappointed over something I enjoyed so much when I was young.
I don't know. I mean, I really enjoyed the Schwarzenegger version. This one doesn't seem like one of those movies that's really going to stick with me again.
No, I agree. It's not like this is a profound moment in film history or anything like that. It's essentially brainless fun. It's something you can sit down, you can have a good time watching. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to change your opinion of movies. But it's done very well for what it is. And it approached the subject matter seriously with a good result, as opposed to it becoming embarrassing.
I think people who haven't seen the original can go to this movie and, you know, have a really good understanding of what's going on, and they'll have a lot of fun at the movie.
This is great for people who haven't seen the original.
Yeah,
it's going to have a lot of fun twists, a lot of great plot turns and stuff, because the original had a lot of fun twists and great plot turns. It's just it was done so badly.
And they cut out a lot of characters from the original one. Like, they just had other characters almost absorb the old characters' parts.
Which I liked. I liked the fact that Kate Beckinsale's character absorbed both Sharon Stone's character and Michael Ironside's character.
Yeah.
Because honestly, you're never going to bring in a guy, unless they had Brian Cranston do it maybe, who could compete with Michael Ironside.
Yeah.
Brian Cranston was my kind of disappointment in this.
Yeah, I agree. He wasn't in there for very long at all. And his character is so much like the character from the old movie. It's almost like they didn't really give him much room to just work. Even in the original, he wasn't really a big character at all. Just kind of the man behind the curtain.
But I do like cutting superfluous characters. I like it when they do that. The other characters in the other movies felt kind of shoehorned in some ways. So I liked it for that. I liked that it was a little leaner, a little meaner, and a little purer in a way.
They still had a lot of the stuff that I didn't like about the old one. You know, they didn't go quite as far in this one. Like, in the old one, it's like Star Wars status bad. You know, the people shooting and nobody getting hit by a single thing.
Except innocent bystanders.
Yeah, exactly, all the time.
The total disregard for civilian casualties.
Yeah.
Just shoot the whole crowd and miss only the person who they were shooting for.
Yeah, just kill everybody. They kind of toned that down a little bit, which I was happy about. It was still loaded with one-liners, like especially about him and his wife. Like, that was the one thing that there was the most one-liners about in the original. Same with this one. Like, and I can't get into that. Like, consider this a divorce.
All right, things I really liked about this movie, like just really liked the art direction, the sets and everything. To set it up real quick, and you learn this in the first 30 seconds of the movie, so this isn't a spoiler. The world's been essentially split into two sides. It's very 99% Occupy themed.
Totally.
One side is the colony, which is essentially the slums where all the workers live, and the other is the Federation, which is where all the aristocrats and bureaucrats live. And the art design in the two zones was really good. I loved the sort of Soviet slum architecture that they used. Everything's made out of blocks of concrete and stuff.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of the old 90s future movies, you know, like Waterworld or Super Mario Brothers and stuff like that. Like
Oh my God. Talk about digging the bottom of the well.
I know, well, a lot of the sets totally reminded me of Super Mario Brothers. That's where
but it's very of that era.
They did a really good job, like, sticking true to that.
So yeah, I really liked that. I liked Colin Farrell's performance. He was very convincing as a man who suddenly finds himself imbued with this alternate personality and is very frightened by it.
That's one thing that I knew they were going to do right, because Arnold Schwarzenegger cannot show anything on his face. Confusion, like trying to figure himself out. He can't do any of that. He's just a stone the entire time.
Schwarzenegger imbues every role with the exact wrong emotion.
Yeah.
Like, And Farrell did that with this one. He played it very dark and very frightening. I like Jessica Biel. We don't see her a lot these days.
Yeah, I really don't.
I was happy to see her in something that didn't suck.
What was the last thing she was in, like Blade 3 or something?
She was in something after that, but I can't remember what. And that Blade 3 thing was just such a giant steaming turd. Like, I started thinking that it was Jessica Biel that I didn't like, but it wasn't. It was just that movie was just a piece of shit. Big surprise to me was Kate Beckinsale, who I liked.
I liked her too, which is very surprising.
That's a shock to me because the last time I was a fan was, like I said, Underworld 1. Since then, she's just irritated me, and in this, totally liked her.
Well, she did justice to the character and what they were trying to do, like enveloping the character from the original movie plus the wife character. I mean, at first I was kind of worried when she first shows her, like, true bad side, because it was really cheeseball.
Now, mind you, if you think we're spoiling this stuff, this is all in the trailer.
Yeah.
We ain't saying a thing that wasn't in the trailer,
yeah,
okay?
Exactly.
Yeah, I was a little worried that it was just going to be just like what Sharon Stone did, that she wasn't going to take it in any sort of original direction, but she really did. I was very pleasantly surprised.
I don't know what the actor's name is, but the guy who played his friend?
Yeah, the black guy. I can't remember his name either.
He did a really good job, I felt like.
I liked him well enough. I definitely liked him better than his counterpart in the original.
Oh, yeah.
Who was like, here's your line, say it.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Cut, print. Shouldn't we do a second take? Why do a second take? You got the lines right.
In the old movie, he had such a tiny, minuscule part.
And once again, this guy absorbed another character from the previous movie, which is good. I like the idea of introducing that level of conflict into it that he did. Well, I won't go into specifics, but introducing him in that role as opposed to the other character added a level of tension to the scene. I mean, you knew where it was going having seen the original, but it worked. It worked well for me. It was a good creative choice, I think.
I think so too, because in the original it was just kind of a random guy who came in, but in this one it accelerated a bunch because, you know, it's supposed to be his best friend. He's got all this stuff going through his head.
At the same time, that is the one scene that didn't work for me. And I'm not going to go into specific. If you've seen it, you know what we're talking about and everything. But the resolution of that scene was really unsatisfying to me because it wasn't convincing.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually.
Using that, let's move into things we didn't like.
I don't know. I just felt myself getting really sucked into the storyline of the original. I didn't really feel that here. Maybe it's because it's a remake and I already kind of knew what was going to go on in my head, but it just didn't really stick with me very much. It didn't make an impression.
I would have liked the Mars storyline better, just because I like Mars movies. They don't make them anymore. It's almost like Hollywood is afraid of Mars now that there's some hard science to back it up. But I kind of take the Ray Bradbury approach where it's myth-making, it's storytelling. Why not make it fantastical? Why not take it to Mars?
And that's one of the things I really liked about the original movie is that it was just really out there.
It was so over the top, and despite the fact that it was a really poorly made film, it did go for the spectacle. The scene where they're running from the agents and they're in front of the shield wall and the agents can't fire at them because it'll kill everybody, and it's this big spectacular thing. Moments like that were really great, and they had the potential to be great in the hands of a good filmmaker, which this film was doing really well. So yeah, I would have liked to have seen a greater spectacle.
Because that's what made that movie so great, is that it was so bizarre and so weird and kind of like existential in a way. The search for the self and stuff like that. I mean, I felt like Colin Farrell did a better job acting out that struggle, but I felt like it was better dealt with in the original movie.
In terms of the plot?
Yeah, in terms of the plot. I didn't really feel like they went all out with this movie.
Well, I will say this. I would have liked to have seen the Mars story, but I don't have a problem with it on that level. There was a lot of the action movie incongruities of logic, shall we say. A 15-minute trip through the center of the Earth seems just a tad unrealistic. Let's say we're doing that. Well, if they're traveling at those speeds, how are they able to move around at all? There was a lot of ridiculousness as far as that goes.
Riddled with inaccuracies, yeah.
But I could overlook that stuff because it was so entertaining and I felt it was handled very well, so I can overlook logical flaws.
Yeah.
The thing that actually irritated me the most about this movie, more than anything else, was the fact that they're still using essentially iPhones. Dude, it's 100 years in the future. Can't we make some leaps?
That's like the opportunity to just invent something completely different and make it completely off the wall, and they didn't really take advantage of it.
And the really irritating part is they did with a lot of other things.
Yeah, exactly.
But not with the phones? Like, how absurd is that?
Yeah, and it was really bizarre that he had money with Obama on the front of it.
It's one of those things that seems like a great idea when you're talking about it, because it seems like it would be funny, but when it's actually put on screen, it just comes off kind of stupid.
Yeah, it almost shattered the illusion for me. It kind of took me out of the movie.
Screenwriters need to learn to just sacrifice your great ideas wherever you can and just tell a really clean story. Clean it up, pare it down to what it needs in order to be really good, and then leave it. And a lot of times that's just not happening.
Yeah, if I had my way and I controlled the world, every screenwriter would be Charlie Kaufman.
That would be a tad too arty for me. I love me some Kaufman, but I like a good popcorn movie too.
Yeah.
So, let's skip to ratings. We rate on a, well, technically I guess it's an 11-point system because we do 0, 2. So, we rate on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being complete garbage, 10 being an absolutely perfect movie, and 5 being the equilibrium where we don't feel one way or the other about it.
I'm gonna have a little trouble with this one. There were so many things I didn't like about it. There were a lot of things I did. I think I'm gonna go 7. I'm gonna say good. I didn't think it was great. I still say the original's better.
Whenever I'm sitting in here with Adam and Seth, I'm always low man on the totem pole as far as ratings go. And in this case, I disagree. I'm going to go a 7.5. I'm actually inclined to go an 8, but the fact that it is a remake and the fact that they didn't do a lot new with it, which could have pushed it over for me into an 8 and 8.5 if they'd have really taken it in a different direction. They did do some different things with it, but not nearly enough to justify that high of a rating. So I'm going to go 7.5. Also, smartphones aren't going to be around that long. Sorry.
Yeah.
We'll be lucky if we have them. Well, no, we won't be lucky, but they will be lucky to survive till 2020. Yeah, I'm going to go 7.5. I'm going to say it definitely gets a strong recommend from me.
I think a lot of it might be because of the trailer, because of how they decided to present the trailer for the movie as like an exact remake of this movie, like times 10, but that's not what it was at all.
So, thanks for watching. Click the annotations bar down below to go to our channel. Like, subscribe, tell your friends about it, share it wherever you share videos. We really appreciate any comments you leave. Let us know any movies you'd like to see us review in future weeks. Our schedules are not set. We can change at any time. So please let us know if there's an upcoming movie you would like to see us review. I always feel like I need to close this out somehow, but I never know how.
Yeah, it feels kind of weird. Annotations bar.
Definitely click that annotations bar. So, hasta la vista, baby.
Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you saved that one for the total recall.